How's it going? It is time for Get Good Kid Annihilation. The ultimate bomba, as they say in League of Legends community. So, one of the subscribers to the channel, Violet, sent a video of... So this is a lead game design developer from Riot. So he developed Vi, Jinx, Gnar, Echo, Jhin. And he has a channel where he was asked, does the rank in games matter, right? So just listen to what he says, and you will see that beyond shadow of doubt, what I've been saying for a past decade is actually true, okay? So I'm gonna shut the hell up and let him speak. It's gonna be a little bit faster than normal. And we're gonna watch up until here. I'm gonna link it in the description below so you can then watch it yourself, okay? So let me just go on mute.
A great question. Zenlin asks like the idea of inflation of status in a ranked system. So this is the idea that you're playing a game and you're gold. And at the start of the season, gold means one thing, but then by the end of the season it actually becomes easier to be gold. And so at the end of the season, by not improving, you could actually even rise up in MMR and get to platinum or something, right? That's the idea. It's elo inflation. It's the idea that if you start without improving, you can go up, right? You can increase in power, increase in rank over the course of a season. Now, at face value, a lot of people who hear that idea will look at it and be like, that's bad. That's scamming you. That's not real display of skill, and you should never do it, right? But the reality is that many games do this. Many games do this, especially phone games. The vast majority of phone games that have ranked systems have inflationary ranked systems, where if you just play games, quite literally just play games, and don't really get better, you will raise in rank. You will just go up. And as a dev, my opinion on it is, honestly, for the lower ranks, that's probably a good thing. Because what a lower rank player is often looking for is a feeling of progress, a feeling that they're getting better. And so by augmenting actually getting better with some degree of over time you'll just go up in general, that actually gets people to want to engage in your ranked system. And then eventually, by the way, get better at the game. And so I think there's a big difference between taking, like, say, an iron player in any given game and saying, hey, you're iron and you deserve to be there, and then just hitting them with a bat and keeping them iron for literally forever, versus like, hey, you're iron, but play some games and you'll get to bronze eventually. And by the way, once you get to bronze, if you improve, you get to silver, right? I think that's a lot more aspirational of a journey. And so by giving players who aren't improving some journey to their season, and then by the end, you more likely create a situation where those players will eventually improve, is I guess what I'm getting at. And I think it's a lot worse if you just say, hey, you've played 500 games and you're never going anywhere. It's just actually really rough. And so I actually think what a lot of phone games do is pretty smart. And then also another thing that goes on here is, actually before I go to that, what I don't think is correct though is doing that at the highest of levels. I think there's a big difference between Apex tier and low tier players, and they have different needs. A lower tier player wants to feel like they're getting better so that they can advance enough time to eventually get better. An Apex tier player already knows they're good and wants a more real and true version of their skill. And so my personal take is, in the lower ranks, having an inflationary rank system like many phone games do, I think is actually a pretty good thing. So that you get that feeling of progress, you get that feeling of growth, and which then excites you for the game and makes you want to play it more, and makes you want to get better at it. And then in the Apex tiers, where explicit rank matters a lot more, not just for like things like matchmaking, but also for things like clout and things like, hey, it means something if I say I'm a diamond at this game, or it means something if I say I'm Grandmaster Elite, Grand Captain Supreme, right? Like those things mean something. I think that's where you're supposed to get a lot stricter and tighter with how good, like what your rank actually means, and be a lot more like you literally will not go up unless you improve. The Apex tiers where that matters the most. The really high tiers of play. And so I think actually probably an optimal rank system for people actually like wanting to play your game and enjoy your game and get good at your game, like legitimately get good and improve at your game, is some mix of the two, where lower on the ladder you have a bit of inflation to it, whereas higher on the ladder the inflation it goes down. Another thing to note that's actually really tough here in regards to this whole thing, because I'm sure some of you are listening here and you're like, why would you even suggest that? You're just lying to players, you're scamming them. Your rank is your rank is your rank is your rank. How dare you suggest that you nudge them up over time, right? Like, why would you ever do that in any game? One of the very real things is, because so many games do it, if you don't do it, there's a lot of players who will say your game feels bad and has a bad rank system. And so, again, going back to phone games, because so many phone games are so highly inflationary with their ranks, and so many phone games, their ranks are mainly just about playing the game, what will happen is, let's say you're a player and you play, I don't know, Grandmaster God Elite Gamers, the phone game, right? And in Grandmaster God Elite Gamers, your rank is Grandmaster God Elite, but you're not very good because it was inflated, right? But you're like, that doesn't matter because you perceive your rank to be Grandmaster God Elite, right? And then you go play another game that doesn't have that thing going on, and they put you in Iron, right? And you're like, but I'm not Iron. I'm Grandmaster God Elite. This game clearly has a terrible rank system. They don't know what they're doing, and I'm done, right? And so one of the things is that there's this effect where if a lot of the games surrounding you are making their ranks kind of like go up, then then if your game is not also doing that, there's a very real risk of your game feeling deeply unsatisfying to people who are used to the other games, and very, very unenjoyable to the point where they just won't want to play your rank system anymore because they're like, this rank system is broken, it doesn't represent my skill, and it doesn't feel like I'm improving. And so that is one of the complications there.
Okay, so do you see what I was saying, that like, especially when you play one-on-one, people get shocked when, like, I have an account which is Iron, and they're just like log in, and they're like Diamond, and they get pooped on, and they're legitimately like surprised. Why does that happen? Another thing I noticed, remember I was doing my 100% win rate where I was dodging, and I would get into a lobby with people that are good players, and then we would just roll the enemy team, and in there, what he's talking about, this inflation of rank, essentially, like, rank doesn't matter, honestly. Up until, my take is, up until maybe Grandmaster 400 LP, I think there's too much inflation in League of Legends, right? So, I've seen Iron players roll Diamond players in normals, right? Again, it's in normals, but, like, I mean, one dude was like upper Iron, the other guy was mid Diamond, and the Iron player just rolled him. I remember that game specifically. I was like, oh my god, right? That tells me straight away that the ranking system is really, really inflationary in this game. Like, it's about, again, I go back to this Russian server. I kept playing with this girl. She was like Diamond, mid Diamond player, and she was playing Soraka and Nami. And the way she was playing, I was like, at no point is she a Diamond player. There's just no way, because she's way, way, way too passive. Again, so it was like maybe 6 years ago, maybe a little bit more. And I asked myself, how the hell is it possible that she is higher ranked than me? And I looked at her game history, and I was like, oh my god, she's playing 4,000 games per season. 4,000 games per season. And then it clicked in my head. I was like, oh my god, League is about spamming games. It's not about getting better. Another, like, obvious indicator, right? When the new season launches, everyone starts spamming games, right? Think about it. Okay, so let's think about a skilled game like basketball. To get better, what you do is you do specific exercises, you do specific drills, you do things like plyometrics, you do drills of like how to dribble the basketball, how to shoot, how to respond in certain positions, right? At no point do you become an NBA player, like the highest level of basketball, by playing basketball with your mates on the street. Do you understand? And yet League of Legends is like that. You're just like spamming games, playing with your friends, and you just all of a sudden, boom, you're now like playing Mundo, and 2,000 games, you're now master tier player. But you're not actually a master tier player. It's just that on the badge is master, but like realistically, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, there are players like Viper, for example, right? There are players like Uli ZX, Rangers, Fogged for the win, TF Blade, some other streamers like Tarzan, right? They are genuinely amazing players. Like, they're just like, there's no way they're inflated. Like, it's just like, they're just genuinely good, right? But when I see some other streamers, like, and they're like shit talking other players, like I'm like, dude, you're like 2,000 games on Fiora, and you're shit talking a Riven, who is like, 400 games, and you're in the same lobby. It's like, get real, dude. Your rank is inflated. You know what I mean? It's just, at no point is he like and you see how he's playing. It's like, it's just like, dude, like, do you know what I mean? It's just okay. So I'll link this in description below, so you can see it for yourself. This guy is a lead developer. So what I'm saying is, like, if you're not diamond or whatever, you're like not platinum, or it's probably you just don't play enough games, and that's about it. I saw also coaching. I don't remember who was it. It was LS coach, or I think it was another coach. And they said most of the problems when I do coaching is that most people just don't play enough games. And I said you need about 500 games to get to your quote unquote desired rank or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But in League, it could be anything, right? So there you go. Okay. So next time somebody's flexing on you, remember that 99% of the time it's just inflated. It's not real. Basically, what I'm trying to tell all those get good kids is that you're still bronze. Okay. See you later. Bye bye. Take care.